Well, hi. I want to take a few moments and to show you a little bit about a project management tool called Asana. A friend of mine, Ben Dosty, kind of put me onto this, and I've been using it now for, I don't know, 3-4 weeks, a month, and really, really like Asana. There's some great things to it. Basically, Asana, www.asana.com, ASANA.com, is a collaborative, cloud-based task management system. It is basically a way to keep a list of to-dos online on a cloud service, and then be able to invite team members into that, and that will help you get projects done. So you can manage projects, just your own tasks, or you can do tasks by project, and all of that can be kept into certain teams. And it's a really effective tool. So there's a lot I like about it. So some of the positives, some of the benefits to it. First of all, it's free. That's really, really hard to beat. Now, there's so many users you can use, but for most churches, this free option is going to be just fine, suffice for you. So I like that. I really like the user interface. It's very pleasing. It's a pretty site. You can adjust it and do different themes to make it kind of how you want to. It's fairly user-based. Fairly user-friendly, I should say. I say fairly because it does take a little bit of training to really understand it entirely, but for the most part, it's a pretty straightforward task management system. So there's a lot I like about it. A few things that I wish they did better. First of all, they have this vendetta out against email, like their tagline is something about doing away with email or whatever, and I don't quite get that, especially considering every time you start a task or a new project, or you follow it's all done through email. So you get tons of email with Asana. So for a company that doesn't like it, they sure use it a whole lot. The other thing I'm not too happy with, I wish they had better integration with already in place task management systems like Apple Reminders. I use Apple Reminders all the time. I wish there's a better way of syncing it than what they have. Now you can sync it with an Apple Calendar, and that's really cool. But what ends up happening are your tasks come in as day events, so they just end up taking up a lot of space on your calendar. So it's not really all that great, but it's there to use. Some things could be a little more straightforward. The mobile app, that's another benefit to it. Has a mobile app that's really sharp. I'll show you that a little bit later on, and that's really great. It's not quite what I would wish it was. I wish you could do more with individual tasks than what you can with the mobile app. But if you just want a way to flip out your phone, check and see what's coming up, take off to-dos or whatever, the app works great for that, and the app looks really sharp. So that being said, let me show you a little bit about Asana and how it works. So I'm going to switch my screen over to the Asana screen I have over here. And as you can see, Asana is it's set up into basically, when you initially start, it'll be like this, 2 panes. So you have your navigation pane off to your left-hand side, and then your task pane over here on the right-hand side. And this is a dummy account I just set up quickly for the purpose of showing you the training. But really, it's I'm going to show you that I have another account that has all my tasks in it. Let me show you a couple things about it. First of all, you have an inbox, and that's any messages you get from Asana will show up there. The dashboard I use, but I'm not going to spend time on that right now. And then you have an area here for your teams, and you can actually do quite a bit. So the real power behind it is in collaboration. So it works okay as a task. It actually works pretty well as an individual task management. But if you really want to unlock the power, I would encourage you to invite people to use Asana, and just simply is clicking on this button right here, typing in an email address, and then clicking invite. And so, for example, I'm going to invite my wife, Court Hart, and I'm not going to put her whole email address, so I don't want to put that on the internet. But let's say I typed in her whole email address and hit invite. She would get an email that invite her into use Asana. She can click on it, set up a quick account, and should then be part of my team. So one of the first things you want to do is invite a team in, and all those team members will be listed here. Now, I have 2 accounts, so I've added 2 here. That's going to get a little confusing since they're both Jamie Hart. So I'm going to show you the actual assigning of tasks with my other account. But let me show you this. How do you add tasks to Asana? It's really very, very simple. I'm going to click here in the add a task area, and I'm just going to add a couple that would be very typical of like a normal week for me. So send out small group questions would be a typical task that I would have to get done. And then I'm going to go ahead and press enter, and I can enter in another task. Send announcements to Jill. If I can spell announcements right. Coming up there. There it is. Send announcements to Jill, and then also load presentation planning center. I'm just putting in a couple of typical tasks that I might have in any given week. Now, so very simple, but let me show you where the real power of Asana lies, and it is in these task details. So up on the right-hand side of any task, you have this See Task Details tab. I'm going to click on that, and that's going to bring up this area here. Now, in my Asana, I have this as the view just as default. So I never close this window. This is always open because this is where the real power of the task management comes into place. So I have this here, send out small group questions. What I'm going to do is I'm already assigned it as a task, but I'm going to find a date where I'm going to have that as the due date. So for me, that's got to be early next week because I'm going to have a small groups meeting. They need my small group questions for their POPA curriculum. So I'm going to add that to Monday's due date. So now that's due on Monday. And I can add in here a subtasks if I wanted to add tasks that I have to accomplish this task. I could put tags. If you've used tags on the internet, you know what that is. Just phrases or words that make it easier to find and search. I can attach files. I can like it or add support by adding hearts to it. We don't really use that. I can set certain permissions for it if I wanted to have only certain people see it, certain team members or whatever. And then also I can delete it, make a copy, make public, get the idea. A lot of things that I can do here. And or this is assigning it to an actual project, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. So all these things here I can add comments if I wanted to, but I'm just going to, again, simply just putting in the task and adding a due date is helpful. So I'm going to do the same thing with sending announcements. I got to get that done by tomorrow. So I'm going to put that due tomorrow and then load the presentation to Planning Center. That has to be done before Sunday, so I'm going to put that on as Saturday's due date. So now I have 3 different tasks with 3 different kind of due dates in them. Now, let me show you a little bit about how to view tasks. And so what I really like about Asana, I have several different ways of viewing them. I can do a calendar view. That's actually going to show me, as you see here, a calendar. And you can see the tasks that are due on the date that they're due. And they all show up right here. So it's really nice to see in a good calendar view. I typically like the list view. And under list view, you have several different options. You can see a task by the My Priority. Doesn't say that there, but it's really what that is called, the My Priority view. Or a task by project, I'll show that in a moment. Or task by due dates. Now it's giving me the task in the list, the order that they're due. I'm going to go back to the My Priority list because this is a list I really like. Here you really have 3 different options for tasks and when they can get done. So even though they have a due date, I can set a separate date as to when I'm actually going to accomplish them. So let me show you this. I'm going to have to get to the send Jill and send announcements to Jill today. So I'm going to hit this button right here, and I'm going to say mark for today. So now you see my screen splitting up into 2 main panes. I have a today and I have an upcoming. I can set these for upcoming, and I can even set one if I want to for later. So I'm going to leave this as upcoming, and I'm going to set my send out small group questions for later. And now I don't even see that here because it kind of hides underneath this. So I'm going to click that, and now I see the later tasks. But this just enables me to come in any given day, have a list of all of my tasks I need to accomplish, and then I'm able to say, when do I want to get them done? Do I want to get them done today? Do I want to wait because they're upcoming tasks? Or do I want to actually accomplish them sometime later on? So lots of different options for that. Now let me just quickly show you how to add a project in here, and then I'm going to flip over to my actual account and show you the full list of everything and how I manage it day to day. So adding a project, I'm going to click the little Create Project button here, and I can type in my new project name, and let's call this Worship Facility Location. And this is for the guys who might be launching a Harvest Church, and one of the things you're going to have to do is find your worship facility, and we'll just add a few steps to the project here to show you how that works. You're going to set up a project owner, and when you have team members here, you'll have different options. I'm going to set myself up as a project owner and then set a date for when the task is due. And just for kicks and giggles, I'll set that for the 28th of November. Obviously, you put that on the a couple of weeks before your actual launch. You can add a description here to the task. We need to find a facility to hold our launch. And then you can put statuses. I really love this about projects. You can set up a project status, like this is, we've found the location, or we've narrowed it down to several places, and you can set that as a status, and anybody who is following, I'll talk about following in just a moment, following the project will get that update. So quite a few things there. Now I'm going to begin to add actual tasks to this. So we're going to research potential locations. Locations, right? Call school districts. Set up meetings. You can tell I'm a horrible speller, so this is why I use my two-finger click on my Mac to get my spellings there, and so on. So anyway, I'm adding tasks to this project. Now, when you're in a project mode, it does not automatically assign the task, because you can click here and you can assign it to anybody you have set up on your team. You can then set up a due date. You can set up subtasks if necessary, and so on and so forth. The other really great benefit in a project management setting is even though I may be the owner of the task, set us up as the owner, I can set up other people to follow the task. So I'll just type their name in there, and now they're following it. And what that does for you is every time you add a comment or whatever to a task, they get an email, even though Asana hates email, they get an email telling them that the task has been updated. So they're able to go in and you can collaborate quite a bit on that. In fact, let me go ahead and flip over. This is my actual Asana account, and you can see I've done quite a bit with it. Here is my normal, my priority list, and I have a couple more things I got to do today. I have an actual elders meeting tomorrow, and I'm working on a project. I'm teaching at the training center next week at Harvest in Chicago, so I'm kind of getting ready for that. I have a little project set up called Harvest Training Center Class Readiness, and I have to get a document finalized today. So you get the idea. There's a couple of tasks I have to do, and then I have a lot of tasks here that are upcoming tasks. And on the left-hand side, you can see I have different teams. I have my staff team, my assimilation team, a worship team, and under that, there are various projects. So for the assimilation team, we are currently working on getting a coffee center. We don't have coffee at the church yet. We want to incorporate coffee center and the worship area and guest reception, all of that into one area. So we're a little project we're working on there. I'm going to click on this, and you can see we have here a list of all the tasks. I have that assigned to different people, and all of these will have you know, a whole card here for them. Now, I'm going to say call Canterbury, and I do need to add someone to follow that. So I'm going to add a follower here, and Adam is my worship/associate pastor. He's going to follow that task, and I'm going to go ahead then and just lock him in there. Now, whenever I update and put a comment in there after I call, this is our school that we're working with, he's going to get a notice that tells him that I've added a comment, so he's able to follow along with what I'm doing there. So you can see it's just a great way of building projects. Now, once you have teams built, you have a little project button under each team, and when you use that project button under the teams, well then those team members automatically get added to your list of people to add as the owner of that project. So a great little way of getting things set up. Now this is where, I'm going to go back up here to my tasks. This is where the calendar view really becomes handy, because now here I can see all the tasks that I have to get accomplished, and when they're set to be due in my calendar view. And when you get into especially like projects, let me go back in here to the coffee area project. If I'm in a team meeting, I can just simply click here and click on the calendar view, and I'm only seeing the projects, the tasks that are associated with this project, and then a little picture by who has to get them accomplished. So really effective area. So let's go back to using the launch example. If I'm on a managing a Harvest Church launch, I'm going to take my list, my Gantt chart list that I'm going to be giving you guys, and I'm going to go into my tasks. Let's say it's on a Monday, and in January, I'm going to take that list that I have. I'm going to look at all the tasks that I'm supposed to accomplish for the month of January, and I'm going to just enter them in either as a sub-project, depending on what I'm working on, or just simply as tasks in my list here. And then I'm going to determine when they need to be done by choosing that due date. And then I'm also going to then decide when can I do it. Can I do it today? Is it an upcoming task? And even here, what's great about this is I can arrange the priority simply by clicking and dragging the task. So if I know I need to get to, we're doing a marriage conference here, and I know I need to solidify that date early on, I'm going to drag that up to the top of the list so that on Monday when I get into the office, I know these are the priorities, the tasks I have to get accomplished. It's just a really, really, really handy way of getting all your tasks in there. Probably a lot more we could talk about, but in reality, that's enough. There's a lot to Asana that is very beneficial, very helpful. I really, really like the application. I've, like I said, been using it for about a month now and highly, highly recommend it. If you're going along and you have other questions, since I am using it now on a regular basis, hopefully I'll be able to answer your questions that you'll have. Just email me at pastor@harvestfortwayne.org. Otherwise, I hope it's a great tool and I hope it improves your product management in the office.